hearing someone else's set. Just be courteous, be mindful, and let's have a good show, y'all. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we are
poets.
live now. We are live. Javi, the floor is all yours.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Javi. I'll be your host tonight. This is a little weird without some background music, so I will play some in my head. Okay, I'd like to welcome you to the Berkeley Poetry Slam virtual live 2.0 because our first one was last week. I remember. If this is your first time at a poetry slam, I would like to congratulate you. This is a very interesting slam that we're going to have tonight with some great and amazing poets that you're going to cheer on at home while you're probably drinking White Claws because they're very cheap from Target. For those of you who have never been to a poetry slam before, a slam is a place where we take poets and their amazing work from their heart and we tell them whether or not we liked it as much as other poets. So it's kind of like if you brought a little thing to your mom that you drew in the first grade and she was just like, it's not as good as your big brother's, so I'll put it right under it. Or it's so good that I'm disowning your brother. Speaking of which, we have 5 judges. Judges, you already know the rundown, but basically the judges are gonna be rating or grading or giving a score to each one of our poets that come up tonight from 0.0 to 10.0. 0.0 to 10.0, whichever one is the lower side and whichever one's the higher side. I don't know, the camera is flipped. Anyway, 0.0 is the worst poem you have ever heard. It's canceled. It's so bad, you never want to hear poetry again. It's like if the world was a Zoom meeting, you would not only end it for everyone, but mute yourself first so no one hears your curses about how horrible it is. Now, a 10.0 is the opposite. It's amazing. It's almost like you've never had anything bad happen to you and you're still healing somehow, even though nothing ever has gone wrong for you. I don't know what that feeling is, but that's what a 10.0 is. So there's not a lot of zeros. There's not a lot of tens. The most important thing for the judges is to keep it consistent throughout the night. You'll hear poems, you'll think they're getting greater and greater and more amazing. No, that's just because you're probably drinking or getting high or doing whatever you're doing and you're just scoring them better because you just feel like a better person. Be consistent, okay? The best part is that the poets don't know what you look like, so you can give them whatever you want. I don't ask you to explain your answer or show me your work. Okay, audience, I have rules for you. Usually I would tell you to mute your phone and like, you know, turn it off and like support the bar and all that stuff, but we're at home, so you can let your phone go. Just like pay attention. The audience will not be heard. We won't hear you snap. We won't hear you, you know, clap. We won't hear you say go in, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't, you know? There's nothing better than spending a Wednesday night by yourself on your couch eating popcorn and just screaming, yes, go in poet to your computer screen. Come on. We do it to Bon Appetit videos, so why not do it to this slam? Okay, now poets, rules for you. Poets have 3 minutes and 10 seconds, 3 minutes and 10 seconds to say whatever they want. Anything, as long as it's kind of like a poem form. The whole time we will be listening to you, okay? Oh my gosh, my Siri just went on. Oh, whoa, crazy. During that time, you can say anything you want, but you can't have props, you can't have music, you can't have animal accompaniment. That would be very interesting things to have while you're in a Zoom, but who cares? Can't have any of that, just your voice and your arms, you know, whatever. After 3 minutes and 10 seconds, you will be deducted points by our scorekeeper, Reggie. Don't worry, we'll do the math for you. We got it. And then after 4 minutes, first of all, amazing breath control. Second of all, we will mute you, right? Usually we play you off stage, but since we don't have a DJ, you're just gonna be canceled, muted, done, over. I'm gonna go all over you. It'd be like I'm your Zoom background and I just pop up and I'm like, sorry, done, you're finished. Okay, so we got the rules for the poets, we got the rules for the judges, we got the rules for the audience. Got it. There's something we like to do here at the Berkeley Slam. It's called the word of the day, but we're not going to do it this time. Anyway, moving on. Here is the list of poets in this order. I'm going to need you to clap for every single one. I'm going to pretend like I hear you all clapping. First up, we got Billy the Kid, then Scriptures _Raw, then Zach, then True Rebel, then Chardonnay, Gray Violet. Dog Days Are Over, Nicole Tracy, and Kendall Kieras. Give it up for all the poets coming up tonight. Okay, who's ready for a slam? Hold for applause. Oh my gosh, it's so loud. Everyone's cheering. Oh, but we can't start a slam without a sacrifice. What is a sacrifice, you say? Well, a sacrifice is a poet who is not in it for the money or the glory, but they're in it because I asked them on Facebook chat before this slam started. So we have a sacrifice. It's a way to calibrate the judges. So judges score this poem, and then every poem after score it higher or lower based on if you think it was better or worse. Okay, got it? Great, amazing. Okay, so our first poet up tonight is gonna be Billy the Kid, but before that, we have our first sacrificial poet. Give it up for world champ, Mike Ting.
What's up, y'all?
You have the floor. They can see you now. They can hear you.
So yeah, I think folks can hear me. Yeah, this is super exciting. Let's get into it. At 17, I let the needle pierce my side, meander over my ribs, and spell out my high school mantra. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Unbeknownst to me, my high school social studies teacher had imprinted his Alcoholics Anonymous prayer on my underage brain, and it wasn't long before it made its way to my skin. I'm not sure what draws us to the ink, what compels the body to seek permanence in a world slipping through our fingers. Whenever I see the sands of time fade away a tattoo on proud skin, I imagine a thin veil of light hidden just below the surface. Perhaps the messages we etch on our bodies were there all along, waiting for us to write them back. My tattoo was done in reverse, so I can read it in the mirror, a reminder each morning to let go of everything that is not meant for me. Read backwards, that what is meant for me is not mine to let go. I imagine I thought myself deep for 17, deep like bone from the air's perspective, deep like marrow from a hair's point of view, deep like cells from the keyhole of a rib cage. We are all looking to last, aren't we? To find some small patch of skin to call our own. I too am excellent at compartmentalizing. I am proficient at keeping the ink where it belongs. I never cried when I got my first tattoo, or my parents split, or when they took the house. I just let it imprint on my chest, my back, the whisper of my neck. I can point to all of the memories, now shades of gray and charcoal layered across my knuckles. I have left pieces of myself on brick walls and marble pillars, any canvas that would allow my fist room to draw. Anger only paints in broad strokes, ignores the fine details like who, what, when, and how, but it always knows the why. It can always give a reason for leaving a permanent mark. I do not know what drew me to the ink, but I imagine I thought it to be some sort of promise, that I would always learn from lessons placed on skin. I know this now to be wishful thinking. I know it's arrogant to assume we remember that which we are reminded of every day. In truth, the only thing that sticks with us, that remains on the canvas, is what we let inside. Thank you, guys.
Ooh, wow, give it up for the first poet. Way to start off the night. Ooh, okay. So judges, make sure to private message our scorekeeper the scores for that, and then they will figure out the scores. Everyone else, just sit in it, sit in that poem. This is usually the time where I would say like a 10, a 10, a 10, a 10, a 10, but I can't read the scores, but I will read one of my favorite lines from that poem. Anger only paints in broad strokes. Y'all hear that? Can we hear that one again? Ooh, okay, so that was our sacrifice. Now let's start the show. Okay, on deck, that means up next, we have scriptures_raw. But coming up to the stage right now, give it up for Billy the Kid. Woo!
You have the floor.
So I like to call this poem Joni, Johnny, Joni, Johnny, whoops, Johnny, whoops, Johnny, 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 Johnny. I'm gonna say that one more time, real slow. Joni. I meet Joni in my father's oldest photo album. Joni balances on the base of Cameron Falls in February. Her glasses whisper 80s. And Joni is grinning at my father through the camera lens. Johnny. My father texts me at work and has the nerve to ask if he's ever mentioned that I have a brother. He says Johnny is 30, lives in Vancouver, and his mother, was a granola head with a goofy smile. Joni. My father sends me a selfie Johnny sent him. Johnny has my father's eyes. They crinkle above the bridge of Joni's nose. Johnny's beard wraps around their features, holds them together, and they think it must smell like oysters. I catch my reflection in the phone screen. See my flat nose, my mother's eyes. Johnny, standard icebreaker. Many siblings? I pause. For what I now realize is too long, I say that Johnny said he'd call me, but hasn't. And until he does, I will call him nothing other than Johnny. Whoops, I'm definitely not stalking him on Instagram. Johnny, whoops, I definitely did not just accidentally like one of his videos. Johnny, and I talk for what must be an hour, maybe more. Johnny's voice is higher than I was expecting. Haley says it's like my voice, but cracked. Johnny asks me about my mom. I say Vina. About my dad, we say Billy because it's also technically his dad. And then Johnny asks me how I love. He says he asked Joni the same thing when they met 3 years ago, and they've been close friends ever since. Johnny says he loves like Joni, fast and full, a romantic. I tell Johnny I love too quickly. I mean, I too love quickly. Cite how Vina loves, how Billy loves, how they met in a bar and flirted over a high-stakes game of pool. I tell Johnny that I'm a poet and that I like the details. I love the details. I tell Johnny that I make playlists for the people I love because Billy made me playlists on tape decks when I was 6, and I'd let Vicky Carr and Jimi Hendrix sing me to sleep. Johnny says he makes playlists for his loves too, and you know what? It looks like he's watching me when I say these things. Okay, it's a video call. Of course he's watching me, but like he's really watching me. With all of his stare and a half smile swallowed into something like wonder or relief, and I think maybe I've got him. Like, you know when a first date goes really well and you can't help but think we've got number 2 in the bag and neither of you can wait because you know that by some miracle, some magic, whatever you did worked, and I think I might have a brother. I think Johnny could be my brother. Thank you.
Oof. Give it up for that poet. Judges, please put your scores, PM your scores to the scorekeeper. Wow, okay, fierce. Ooh, we all knew it was gonna be fierce with when we started with the hand gesture and taking over the stage. Come on. Ooh, amazing. Okay, so the previous poets scores, the sacrifices scores, was a 27.5. Ooh, boo, or yay, I don't know. Do you? Okay, everyone. Whew, really starting it off strong. Everyone, make sure to breathe. I'm assuming you're at home or somewhere safe. So if at any point in the night you hear something, you know, that may be intense for you, that's totally fine. You can go and take as much time as you need. Live stream will be here. We'll post the whole thing so you can watch it again because you should, because it's amazing. Anything that happens tonight, you can always hashtag it. Hashtag Berkeley Slam on social media. Come on, marketing, let's go. Okay, so on deck, that means coming up next, we have True Rebel. But coming up to the stage right now, give it up for Zag.
Hello. Hello. Y'all hear?
You have the floor. Yes.
Yeah.
They can hear you.
Trippy days, blowing on that sweet lemon haze, stone star sighting on Medusa's gaze, blazed on divine lettuce, but these devils I raise, they never phase me like Jay-Z. I wear my ankh with my eye that's lazy. Shit's crazy like Columbine kids and Fox News. White boys shoot up schools and prison rent is due, but the judge is cool. Give them 5 years, leave after 2, and they still shoot us running for our backs while not copping no tools, cause these cops is fools for the government, killing us with a holy covenant, and pigs be loving it. But I don't eat haram. Day and night rocking devil's addies, Bibles and Qur'ans, writing these songs, exposing the truth, screaming out my lungs in soundproof booths to your airwaves and ears, liberating Egyptians who fear the overseers. I fucked around in the garden and ate the forbidden fruit. Apple juice still falling from my mouth, but I'm bringing it back to its roots. I shoot my shot to not be overlooked in books, leaving critics shook without bridges or hooks, just dropping game and slaying myths with righteous bars and godly gifts on that 47 paradigm shift. No 9 to 5, I go OT like holy prologues and therapists. The prejudice sexist, the Cajun fundamentalist with Raw's light and Myatt's enlightenment. It goes through my bloodline. Many dynasties have overcome the violence we see, and that's when we shine. Uniting the lights in this dark night, make constellations that alter right. I'm in it for the fight. Kings and queens, royalty, but toppled politricks and abolished monarchies. Sound the alarm, let these demons be gone, and embrace for the coming of a new dawn.
Ooh, give it up for the poets. Ugh. Come on, Flo, let's go. Okay, judges, you know the drill. Give it up for Reggie. Give it to Reggie. Give it up for Zag. Let me reiterate. Ooh, come on. That line, apple juice still falling from my mouth, but I'm bringing it back to its roots. Can we imagine? Can we see it? Love that. Okay, so on deck we have Chardonnay, but coming into the stage, give it up for True Rebel.
You have the floor. We can hear you.
All right. Well, the poem I have is called To Zoey. Now that you've been brought out as a blessing and into the arms waiting to hold you in eternity, I brought you to the words I envisioned in daydreams and thoughts. As the world around us move in slow motion and our energies connect as I stare into your innocent soul. Now that you're born out of the womb, a peaceful creation that laid into my waiting arms, it's about time we make our long-awaited connection a sweet reality, a paradise only we can understand. You have no idea how much I waited and prayed for your arrival, for you to become a light to my world, a light I will forever have with me, like a good luck charm, but with a beating heart. To you, Zoe Marcella, you will forever share my heart as I share yours, and my protection of you from the dangerous, seductive evils the world have to offer is unconditional. Abandoning you will not be a choice for me. You'll always come first. A promise that will forever remain like a memory that won't fade into oblivion. A human life worth fighting for. Now you'll forever be special in my eyes and very important, as you will always be my baby girl no matter which path life will take you or what age you grow into. An arm to hold you and a shoulder to cry on will always be offered in case you've been hurt on your most vulnerable. But I'll also show you how to rise above your tribulations and not allow anyone to use your vulnerability against you. Not every moment I will miss. Hugs and kisses, days and nights. Every moment like schools, graduations, and birthdays will not be missed. And expectations on how a man should treat a woman and how you should love yourself and God before you love others, and to never let anyone destroy you or who you are. Always stand your own ground and fight for what you believe in. That's the truth you will always be taught. As I will watch you transform from an adorable baby girl to a strong, independent, and determined young woman that you're born and raised to be, so I'll know how blessed and happy I am to have you as my one and only purpose, my daughter. I want you to succeed and never give up on your dreams, because in this world, anything is possible and only you can achieve that impossible. I want you to not just make me proud, but to also make yourself proud because of all the good things you had accomplished, no matter what you'll do, and I'll always be proud of you. I want you to be happy and live your life to the fullest, because when you're happy, I'm happy. And nothing's good like seeing a daughter at this very best. I've been preparing for this moment for all those long months that seem like forever. And as I tell myself when you're born, this is what I'm going to say to you. I can't wait to have you here and to love you to the end of time. And now that you are here, this is what I'm saying to you. This is what I believe that you'll be excited and ready to hear, as you will be the one to see and smile to me when you open up your eyes and look up and you see me. Ask God as our witness to this life-changing moment, and I will pray that He watches over you as soon as I take you home. Give you the strength and love you deserve when you step into this world for the first time. Now back into this moment, as I look into your eyes and and our energies connect, my world becomes yours and your world becomes mine. And this is my love to you, to Zoe Marcella.
Ooh, give it up to the poet. Give it up for that energy. Okay, judges, make sure to give the scores to Reggie, our scorekeeper. Ooh, wow, that was beautiful. I know I said take a moment if anything is really intense or like a lot for you. And that means also if something's intensely amazing, you know, I feel like I need to take a breath. I feel like I just went on a run after the emotion behind that poem. Oof, amazing night. Amazing. Great, everybody. Okay. I have the scores from some of our earlier poets. Sorry, I forgot to say them, but I will now. Okay, so our first poet after Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid got a 28.4. Word, yes, amazing. Give it up for the poet and the poetry, not the points. Remember that. Remember that. These numbers don't matter. You're not going to remember it at the end of the night. That's our job. Okay, and then we had Zag at 26.8. Give it up for the poet, not the points. Okay. Ooh, I love seeing the little people in the Zoom chat snapping. I can hear it. I can feel that energy. Okay, so on deck we have Gray Violet. But coming up to the stage, give it up for Chardonnay.
You have the floor.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So a white person with dreads comes up to me and has me fucked up. You take up too much space to take up space for me too. You write about brutality you don't experience, as if your whiteness is erased by your queerness, or as if your queerness could erase your privilege. It's not an accurate narrative if you leave out your place in the pyramid as the oppressor. You don't get to speak on my oppression from any angle but the aggressor. Your revolution is colonizing my tongue with a rainbow flag and using it to speak on whiteness without indicting yourself when all of y'all are guilty. I like my races in plain sight though. And your hair may as well be a Nazi logo you can't see. Call it color blindness or the erasure of Black heritage or manifesting something interesting about yourself because y'all love taking Black culture while talking over Black people. If you were a real ally, you would show up to protest looking like those clean-cut white folks who the police don't get caught on. You'd be on the front lines when they come with the tear gas and the rubber bullets and the tanks. You take the first shot so that my Black ass wouldn't have to for a change. Or at the very least, you'd offer to pay me to educate you instead of approaching me like you deserve my words, knowledge, or presence when I get paid to teach. And I don't work for free, especially for white people. But that's just like y'all. You demand Black space, time, and existence, upholding systemic slavery while also denying you play a part just because you got matted hair you call dreads and write about brutality you could never experience. Go fucking figure. Y'all always want to be a nigga until it comes time to be a nigga. Then you'd probably end up like your hair, damaged beyond recognition because you lack the strength or the depth it requires to embody anything Black.
Ooh. Okay, whoa, I'm not even gonna say anything. Come on, judges, give those scores to Reggie. Yeah, let's go in poet. We all have our favorite lines. Yeah. Sorry, that was just fierce. I mean, all the poems are fierce, but like, oof. Okay, So last poet that went up right before this, we had True Rebel. It is a 25.9 after a 1-point time penalty. So it was originally a 26.9. When there is time penalties, we do a thing where we say, fuck time penalties. So if you can curse in your lovely home, let's all say in 3, 2, 1. Fuck time penalties with consent. Yes, even concepts we're asking consent. Come on, let's go. Everything, everyone, amazing. Okay, so on deck we have on deck we have Dog Days Are Over, but coming up to the stage, give it up for Gray Violet.
Mic check.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
All right, perfect. If girlhood meant innocence, then was I a girl? If curves were secrets barely spoken, why couldn't my curves keep quiet? Why couldn't they fade away like the proverbial breeze that ran through my hair as I basked in my ignorance and my innocence? How could I be aware and still be a girl? How could I know that men's roving eyes barely ever meant me well, but still smell the roses, you know? Smell and taste are closely linked. I can taste the shame of having to once more cover up, so no, I can't sniff these roses without them smelling a little sour. The smell of womanhood, however, is sweeter. It smells like attitude and independence and ownership. Ownership of the curves I was taught to hide. Ownership of the mouth that can now yell at the people who stare. Ownership of my hair and how I want it to look. Ownership that for 18 years I allowed to be taken. On my 18th year of life, I swear to open the blinds, awaken to the feeling of coffee-stained stress and the anxiety of endless possibilities. Maybe womanhood is harder than I thought, but girlhood is harder than I know, so I forge forward. I speak loudly because to be shushed means to be noticed, and to start quiet means you have nowhere to go. I know that I can be a bit much, but I am still getting used to the notion that I can take up space. Sorry if my anger is misplaced, but who knew I could be angry? Who knew that the swirl of my hips wasn't a source of shame, but a source of power? That in the swirl of these uncertain hips were secrets and knowledge and life, that even the mere silhouette of my figure could create fear. And if we're talking about swirl, then let's not forget curl. Every gravity-defying strand of hair held the strengths of beautiful women before me, who looked like me, who dreaded the unknown paths of womanhood, but left me breadcrumbs so I could always find my way back to what is familiar. My hair was only peculiar to untrained eyes. My words only foreign to an untrained ear. No talking down or speaking right can make these words go away. As a woman, I have the power to make my words stay, to use stories as my breadcrumbs, weave strength into my unborn daughter's hair, stretch as far as my body will allow to expand the box they might feel like they have to be in. I sacrifice the pleasantries of a girl for the never-ending fight of a woman so that my girls don't have to. So that their roses may never sour, so that the taste of innocence will never have to compete with ignorance, so that their fight with roving eyes will never cut through them the way it cut through me, so that my girls can be free, so that this woman can be free, so that my girls receive more than just the crumbs of girlhood that was left for me. Thank you.
Damn.
Ooh, give it up for the poet. Woo. Tonight is a good night. Okay. Judges, make sure to give those scores to Reggie. Ooh, let's take a breath. Chardonnay, the poet before, got a 28.5. Get up for the poet, not the points. Ooh. Wow. How am I getting short of breath and I'm not even one of the poets? I gotta stop yelling while the poets are talking because then I'm gonna lose my breath. But y'all are so good, I have to yell or else I don't know what'll happen. Okay, so on deck we have Nicole Tracy, but coming to the stage. Give it up for our next poet, Dog days are over.
You have the floor and we can hear you.
Cool. This one's incidentally after Hobby, and it's called Salt Pillars. Oh, whiteness, how you invert me into tri-split salt pillars, then demand I dissolve back into your oceanic limbs. Oh, white nest, how inadvertent of you to unintentionally rebirth me as I am unmade with drowning upon drowning. Every screamless bubble from my throat becomes an infinite hive of unresolved cadences, becomes broken body elegies, submerged potentiality. And so I trick myself to re-become anything body-like, reinvert my sodium into calcium, to attempt alchemizing myself into bone, but still too ivory to be crowned margin Ellie, skeleton in your pale pupils. Oh, why am I next in line to crown you, margin ally skeleton in your kind's pale pupils? Oh, whiteness, why are you so obsessed with race? I'm not the fucking one drowning enough brown spines to messiah us to an American oasis, then call out wetback, not the one naming brown after my brow's stale sweat and misnaming us colonized colonizer like SPIC, Spanish person in custody, when every policed jail cell threshold mouth screams louder than undocu children cry, quieted under America's right wing. The left wing tokenizes me so gilded, I become treasure box full of medallions holding a brown bomb in my throat. It's white wick cock loaded to scream, spick, SPIC, the wicks, every twined hair always prepared to ignite itself and combust me into shrapnel, right wing, left wing, same fucking bald eagle with a meadow of brown scalp graveyards under every golden feather. Oh, white Loch Ness. In response, I scream, subjugated person imploding cathedrals, SPIC, all of the manifest destiny, groaning Armageddons when I stone all the stained glass for stoning my stained glass heart queers to, oh, unhighness. In response, I scream, my maize-blooded people, thorn-crowned you, their unmessiah, and so you cruciformed their bodies aflame, and so I conflagration your congregation, I wild flare inferno every unbible to uncathedral, the sour bread of Christ to un-KKK, all the staled wine spilled from melanated blood. I scream out what you did, kill, kill. In response, I scream, just scream for all those with honeywood skin who could not, who still cannot. Oh, whiteness, divineless God, unamen. Thank you.
Ooh, give it up for the poets. Judges, please give your scores to Reggie. I'm gonna give you a second to give your scores in. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can always think about your scores and be ready to send it before the poem ends, just to give us some extra time. Okay, I stalled enough. Woo! Oh my God, wow. Okay, try not to be biased because, you know, I'm not saying that if you mention the host in your poem, you will get higher points because the host has nothing to do with the scores, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm kidding. Wow, amazing. Okay, I would like to take this moment to say that if you are white and were offended by that poem, that is entirely your problem. Okay, moving on. On deck, we have Kendall Kieras, but coming up to the stage, give it up for Nicole Tracy.
You have the floor.
Can y'all hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Woo. To the platypus. I know what it's like to be looked at with confusion, to be something in between two things and told you are not enough of either. Ducks will always call you a beaver and beavers will always call you a duck. And of course, neither of them wants you to be both. Both want to put the other part of you on trial and see which part of you they will still call innocent. I know the ache of wishing you could turn your fur to feathers, wishing you could make your tail shrink. I know we share the same ache of wanting to be just one thing, just so we don't get asked the same question over and over and over again. I know how it feels to lose your voice when we get asked to pick one. I know you want your identity to be easy for other people to take in too. How many ducks called you a beaver before you corrected them? How many jokes did you make at the expense of your own identity because it made it easier to be around someone else? I know some days you feel more duck than beaver, and other days you forget ducks even exist. But most days you wish you could swing your tail and knock out anyone who says you're only a duck and peck away anyone who says you're only a beaver. Have you ever forgotten what a quack sounds like? Forgotten what your own voice sounds like surrounded by noise meant to do just that? Well, guess what, platypus? Don't forget about your venom. Don't settle for just being a duck or just being a beaver. You are so much greater than being equal to just one of them.
Ooh, give it up for the poet judges. Please give your scores, please. Y'all are just not giving up on these poems tonight. Okay, come on. I heard how many jokes did you make in your expense because it's easier to be around someone else? What? Excuse me? Can I get a warning next time? Like, ooh. Whew. I know it's a hot day, but I'm sweating more than just because of the poetry. Okay. So I got some scores. I forgot to say the scores last round. So we got Gray Violet, who got a 29.1. What? Give it up for the poet, not the points, but maybe in this case, maybe give it up for the points as well. And then Dog Days Are Over also got a 28.6. Okay, come on. We love that. We love supporting great poetry. Not that I'm saying it's a great poem. I am a host and thus unbiased, and I've never heard a poem before, so I can't form an opinion, but maybe it's a good poem. Who knows? Okay, on deck, we actually have our amazing feature, Alejandro Jimenez. But before that, coming up to the stage, we have our last poet of the first round. Give it up for Kendall Kieras.
You have the floor.
Mic check.
We can hear you.
Before I do this poem, I want to say that this was written pre-pandemic, and I low-key think I might have caused the pandemic by writing this poem, but it was accidental. Okay. This is called The Lesbians and I Decide Which Men Will Survive the Apocalypse. Lana Del Rey's cop boyfriend will be the first to go. Next, every man who's ever DM'd you on Twitter, an epitaph according to his last message. Like, here lies, you're just gay for attention, hashtag Trump 2020, rest in peace. All mediocre Valentine's Day boyfriend reveals. See, this is our favorite game. Lying in the dark on your bedroom floor, whispering the names of the men who must go to the ceiling, we are avenging angels awaiting our first shift. We practiced our end time songs for your boyfriend holding a fish on Facebook, everyone on pop radio with special regards to Ed Sheeran, excluding Lil Nas X. All of the white men nominated for Oscars this year. In this world, we have that kind of power. Like, when the stars fall, we can make one land directly in Woody Allen's skull. How we will resurrect Ronald Reagan and kill him again just 'cause we're petty like that. I wander through. We play our part the best that we can. Last June, we spent all our money on angel wings, which shed down to Velcro straps by the end of Pride. In my worst fantasies, I imagine yours are real. Isn't it sweet to think we could have control of the stars without being the reason they are falling? When eternal paradise does come, you and I both know we won't be let in. But for now, let's sacrifice another CEO. When the sky falls, I will be here, lying on your bedroom floor, holding your hand as we both forget how to breathe.
Give it up for the last poet. Judges, give your scores, please. Ooh, let's take a moment to realize that there was some magic that happened in the poet saying the petty line and it freezing for a little bit. Take that into consideration because I feel like that was some sort of spell maybe. You know, to say the line "we're petty" and then immediately being like, "You're not even gonna hear this next part." And it's still gonna be amazing. Come on, let's go. Big brain. Come on, Zoom slams. We're taking advantage of it in 2020. Let's go. Ooh, someone said that if this poem is what the pandemic meant, if it happened and this is what we got from it, then you know maybe we can get some good things too. Come on, let's think positively. But also let's take the pandemic seriously because people are dying. Okay, I hate to be a downer, but let's bring it up again. Our last poet, Nicole Tracy, got a 27.8. Give it up for the poet, not the points. And now we're just gonna wait for the last. We're just gonna wait for the last score from our scorekeeper. And we got a 27.7 for our last poet. Give it up for the poet, not the points. Ooh, and that ends our first round, everyone. Pat on the backs. Y'all did amazing. I love that. Okay, before we go on a little break, we have the pièce de résistance of the first round. We have our feature for the night, Alejandro Jimenez. I got a little bio before we bring Alejandro to the stage. Okay, just set up some mood lighting. If I may ask the other poets in the Zoom meeting, if you can do me a favor and maybe every 3 or 4 seconds unmute yourself and just go ooh at like the sound of all these accolades. We're gonna make this a quick piece, okay? Wait, let me start first, let me start. Okay, so we got Alejandro Jimenez is an Emmy-nominated performance poet. That's right, Emmy, E-M-M-Y. Performance poet and writer who has shared work at 3 TEDx events, right? TED, the capitalized, yeah, that thing that you see on YouTube that teaches you that shit. At the National Poetry Slam and a plethora of colleges, universities, and high schools. As a formerly undocumented immigrant from Colima, Mexico, his work centers around cultural identity, immigrant narratives, memory, land, masculinity, and the intersection of them all. Come on, can we take a moment for intersections? Okay, his book, self-published in 2017, Moreno Prieto Brown, has sold over 1,000 copies despite all the typos. I'm not saying that, the bio actually says that, okay? I'm not being shady. He currently lives in Eugene, Oregon, and you can find more at his website, www.alejandropoetry.com. His social media is at Alejandro Writes. You can find him on Facebook, and his Venmo, most importantly, is at Alejandro_Jimenez. If you don't know how to spell that, you can look it up in the Facebook thing. You know, the H is a J. I should know. My name also has that. It's not an H. Remember. Okay, that's for a specific demographic of people. Anyway, please welcome to the stage our feature for the night, Alejandro Jimenez.
You have the floor.
Awesome. How's it going, y'all? Thank y'all for having me, and so glad to be here. Yeah. Word. Yeah. So my name's Alejandro. Let me start my timer here. Yeah. So let's just get right to it. Yeah. So Yeah, let's get to it. This poem is called "You're Mexican Until." It's after a poem by Fatima Asghar, who's an amazing poet. So you're Mexican until you go to a white college. Then you are Latino, Latina, Latinoa, Latinx, Hispanic, her panic, everyone's panic. And everybody wants to tell you about the first time they visited Puerto Rico or Costa Rica or Ecuador. You let them know that that's not Mexico. What's the difference? They speak Spanish too. Insert pearly white teeth, smiling lips, looking like nooses waiting to tighten around the neck if challenged. You're Mexican until you speak Spanish too much and you play banda too loud. Then you are too ethnic, a bit too dangerous. They like their salsa mild and sweet. They just want to tell you stories about some resort manicure for their lily pink bodies where the water is purified before it touches their skin and the sand on the beach is made out of stars and it is lukewarm on their feet and the seashells are individually polished every night and thrown on the ground before one of them asks for a cerveza in the morning. You're Mexican until they find out you only got your papers a couple of months before starting college. Then you are the shot at redemption. Then you are a ticket to ease their white guilt. Then you are proof that the system is not broken, Alejandro, I mean Alex. Every once in a while, we have to let a few of us make it to keep the carrot dangling in front of our faces. You're Mexican until you find out you grew up as a farm worker. Then you're a Yelp representative and they ask you questions like, so where is the best U-Picket farm located? You're Mexican until you approach the dinner table and one of them says, here comes the beaner. And they all laugh. And one of them tries to have your back and he says, he's not that much of a beaner. They laugh. You sit with them, eat your dinner anyway, because they are your friends. This is the price of the American dream. They will joke about running away to Canada if an election threatens their liberal lifestyle, white supremacy. It knows no borders. It is a global citizen with a passport anywhere. You're Mexican until you start calling yourself brown. Until you stop laughing at their jokes, then you are angry. Then you are just like the rest of them. You're Mexican until you say, no human being is illegal. Until you say, borders are just an idea we decided to build. Then you're ungrateful. Then why are you here? Then why don't you go back to where you came from? Because we've planted and harvested the food on your table. We deserve to eat it too. Thank you. That's number one, y'all. Yeah, so these Zoom things are like kind of crazy, right? Because I'm like, if I say like a joke, are people reacting to it? How do I feed off this energy? Do I look at people's faces? And then it's like the lag time, because then I'm like, do I read the comments? Do I not read the comments? It's weird, you know? And I'm kind of like awkward anyway, you know, when it comes to this kind of stuff, you know? So I'm like, I don't know. It's weird, you know? But anyway, you're Mexican until you're not, and then they tell you you're not, and then you're like, oh, what the heck am I then, man? You're whatever you want to be, you know? So yeah, I came here undocumented in the backseat of a car, you know? And so I have my green card now. But this idea of like not coming home or coming home and your family not being there is always ingrained in me, right? For a lot of us, right? For whatever it is, maybe we're undocumented, maybe we're immigrants, or maybe we're being gunned down by police, right? And we know how police and systems treat bodies of color, right? Dark bodies, right? Trans bodies and bodies that don't fit the status quo, right? Anyway, this poem is called When They Come For Me. It's also in the book, Manolo Pietro Ban, It does have a lot of typos. It's on my website, alejandropoetry.com. I will mail it to you. I'll sanitize it before I send it to you, so you don't get no coronavirus from me, you know. When they come from me, the knock on the door will sound like our worst fear. They will try to sugarcoat their arrival by telling you that everything will be okay. You will look at me. I will look at you. We will find no answers in our eyes. They will knock again. This time, it will sound like a grenade. We will dry our faces. I will hug you tight. I will tell you everything will be okay. It may not be. We will kiss. And they will knock again. This time we will hear them cock their weapons. Their boots will sound heavy as rain. They will step back. They will knock the door down when they come for me. Let them know that as a little kid, I dreamt of a nice house with fruit trees and mountains. Explain to them that my heart was the compass when I crossed their border. Invite them to eat. Show them pictures of my mother and of my third birthday party. Tell them stories of when we first met, of the time I wanted to hold your hand, but I was too shy to do so. Tell them about my poem. Read one to them. Ask for their reaction. Offer them dessert. Offer them water. Play them Chabela Vargas. Tell them about my mountain town. About late nights underneath Mexican skies. Tell them about my brother and of my uncles, of my aunties, of my stepfather. Explain to them that my heart was the compass, that my heart has always been a compass, that quietly I have always tried to stay true to my convictions. If they search the house, make sure they don't steal anything, including me. Guide them towards the garden. Make sure they don't step on our crops. Let them know that they will not steal my flowers, for I have planted them deep in the sea. They will need to learn how to swim far and how to hold their breath long. Let them know that I have always been like this, that I have always been amazed by the way seeds move mountains, that I have always wanted to be a seed, that I have always wanted to be a mountain. If they question you about my absence, describe to them the way my rib cage and lungs dance together when I run. Diles que traigo puestos los guaraches de Emiliano Zapata. Diles que traigo las canciones de mi abuela aquí en mi pecho. Diles que no me alcanzarán. If they question you further, tell them that I left my pencils in a cup, that I left my notebook on the desk, that I left my shoes by the foot of the bed, that I left my heart next to a volcano, that I left my eyes next to a cornfield, that I left my arms around my great-grandmother's tombstone. They may not understand the metaphor. In any case, tell them that I was born during a thunderstorm. Therefore, my mother made sure to put lightning in my veins and thunder in my chest so that I could always speak like this. It may not be pretty when they come for me. They may drag me across the street. My flesh will leave graffiti marks on concrete. It will read, "We have never needed your approval to live." They may slam my jaw onto the hood of their car. You might hear my cheekbone snap. You might see my teeth fall out of my mouth like shooting stars. You will hear my tongue mumble. Flesh is not the only way to be alive. They may accidentally shoot me. From the bullet holes, little red waterfalls will drip, forming a lake around my body. My soul will swim towards your feet. Pick it up and let them know that they cannot kill my spirit, that they cannot kill my memory, for it will find a home in the mouths of my people, and they will be anything but quiet. Thank you. Yeah, so there's like Corona stuff is pretty interesting, right? Like, I saw someone say, you know, like it was like, yeah, like the coronavirus is like the first time that like everybody feels like you're an immigrant, you're undocumented, right? Because you're not sure, should I go to a store? Is that safe? Should I go outside? Is that safe? Right? Who should I talk to or not talk to? Is that safe? Right? And just like anybody that's been marginalized in the history of this country, right? Like now you know how we feel, right? And it sucks that it takes something so drastic like this, right? Like the Trump election in 2016 to feel this just like grave sense of shit's really fucked up, I might die, it's like, well, some of us feel like this all the fucking time, right? Pandemic or not, right? Because of systems, right? And because of how shitty sometimes this country is with its systems, right? And its governments, right? So yeah, you can get this book, Moreno Prieto Brown, my website, alejandropoetry.com. Like I said, I'll sanitize it and that kind of stuff. Or if you Venmo, you can just write a note. Hey, send me a book. They're 10 to 15 bucks, but times are tough. If you send me like $2 and you're like, I want a book, I will send you a book. It doesn't matter. I got like 100 of them in my closet. I thought I was gonna get rid of them during my April shows, but I want to get them out to the world. So again, 10 to 15 bucks if you can. If it's less than that, completely fine. Just let me know in the Venmo or when you order. I'll send it out. Honestly, it costs like $2.50 to make, to print. So I also don't want to rip you off during these times of the pandemic. Other times I would definitely not feel bad ripping you off, because we live in a capitalist society and I am a capitalist. And by that I mean I need to pay rent. See, I'm not sure if people laughed at this joke or not, but I assume you did. So this poem is new as of a few days ago. I've been doing the 30-30 challenge, right, for the first time in my life, and I've written every single day. Poetry is kind of like a hobby for me, right? My full-time job is working with youth as a counseling realm, student advising realm, that kind of stuff, right? And for those, I've been in that game for 10 years. And for those of us who have worked long enough in education, we've had a student pass, right? Die. And so this poem is for a former student who passed away in Denver. Maybe some of his friends are watching. Maybe some of y'all are watching back in Denver. This is for Oscar. For Oscar. There on Alameda Street, where Little Mexico begins, they're the place their bulldozers' teeth are salivating for. The place where paleteros honk a horn and children come running like bees to pollinate a flower, and their smiles are honey, and as springtime grows in their baby fat-filled hands. This, the place for Sunday morning church and Sunday night cruise. All joy in these streets. Potholes ain't nothing but a reminder to slow down and enjoy the blue and pink sky on a summer night. Burnouts are to amplify laughter. Corridos to speak happiness in more than one language. Botas to stay rooted. Shit-talking morros y morras asking where the plug be. When the race to look out be. Where the cops be hiding be. Tejana to prove they are Mexican while they eat a bowl of pho. Be happy here, brown boy. Be eternal here, brown boy. This place will remember you. There on Alameda, in front of St. Cajetan's Church, Oscar took his last breath. Former student trying to tame the wind like he tamed those horses. There, a vigil of brown faces, all lit with burial in their eyes. There, Jesus cried, and Cesar too, and Darwin, and Raul, and Daniel, and Carlos, and Exar, and Eric, and Rene, and Ernesto, and myself, we all cried. And there were not enough candles to melt our sandals onto the pavement, and we tried praying, but we just hugged each other instead. We were a choir of weeping brown boys. How beautiful it is to sing like that. How ceremonial to hold each other like that. How these streets give us back to the earth will always be something I do not agree with. How these streets show us sorrow I will never agree with. But we were there, holding each other like the sky holds each of its constellations. One of our stars fell that evening. landed on our cheeks, made singers out of us. Oh, how we howled into each other's chests that night. There on Alameda, inside of St. Kennington's church, the casket held his body, gently tucked within shiny white cloth and dressed in clothes picked by his mother. His eyes looked as if they wanted to open. His lips a somber, empty smile. The mariachi sang sad songs. The guitars did not make us want to dance. The trumpets tried, but they could not drown out his mother's cry. The singer of sad songs took a seat and let the sobs in the room be accompanied by the men playing instruments. This ritual of letting go never gets easier. This sore throat, this emptiness, these dry eyes death leaves us with is something I will never cherish, the priest said. Oscar is in a better place now. I looked at his mother's arms, but they were empty. I looked at his girlfriend's mouth, and she was not being kissed by him. If after this is better, let him be laughing. Let him be riding his favorite horse down this Alameda street. Let him stay happy like that. Please, let him stay happy like that. Thank
you. Woo! Yeah.
Word up. So this is the last one I'll read before I I'm done. Again, thank you all so much. Thank you all, everybody at the Berkeley Slam, for doing this for the art and for still bringing me on board and that kind of stuff. So it's thank you all so much. Really appreciate you. And for everybody that's that's tuning in, and for everybody that's shared, you could have been, I don't know, somewhere else in your house not doing this, but you're here. So thank you for tuning in. So this last poem, I'll let you all, I'll read. It's called "Sing Me a Broughton Song." It's after a poem that I read by Nikki Giovanni. So here it goes. Sing me a brown song. Sing me a brown song until your mouth breathes fire like a sweat lodge. Sing me a brown song until it is known that the singular of tamales is tamal, not tamale. And we claim Spanish as our second language, English our third. We've existed since before there was a word for tongue. Sing me a brown song on your caballo, on your troca, on your impala, in your botas, in your cortezes, in your huaraches, in your danza azteca, until the smell of copal surpasses the smell of patchouli for the hippiest shit ever. Sing it until my homies start accepting credit cards at the healing ceremonies. Sing me a brown song until el chico del apartamento 512 gets a house with the yard. And your heartbreak becomes a wood stove in the middle of winter, and we learn to tame the wildfires with our bed sheets, and we become firefighters for the sole reason that we like to carry water in our hands, and we learn to juggle hot coals like we do our insecurities, and we kiss each other like volcano smoke kisses the sky, and we fall into each other's palms like our torsos fall into each other after climax. Sing me a brown song until ice melt into water, and we plant gardens on the top of the rubble of detention centers, and we make swing sets out of its metal and steel, and we play wall ball and graffiti that wall, and we make wind chimes and chandeliers out of their melted guns, and we hear them howl like a hanging purgatory, like wind finding its birthplace, like a river finding its feet and shoes. Sing me a brown song with the prayers left at street corners. Sing it until the candles at funerals burn, because our loved ones have risen and they are returning with jars full of tears that turn into honey wine. Sing it until rosary becomes a word that we use for story time about flowers. Sing me a brown song, because some days I don't like the person I am turning myself into. So I keep adding more wood to the fire. Watch it burn, hear it crackle, and wonder what blue handgun will turn my skin into a hand drum. Some days I let my demons win, let their whispers make me smile. I do not like myself on those days. So sing me a brown song for the days I wish my forest into ash, for the days I have no sail to put out to the wind, for the days that I think, you know, my skin might just make a good instrument. Thank you all so much. Hope you have a wonderful night. Please stay safe. Don't touch your face unless you wash your hands and you're in the comfort of your home. And may all and everybody around you be healthy and stay healthy. Thank you all so much, and enjoy the rest of the show and the rest of the slam. Thank you.
Ooh. I'm not muted. I'm just taking a moment.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Thank
okay,
you.
let's take
Thank you.
Let's take a collective breath. I think we all need that after that feature. Okay, that was Alejandro Jimenez. Remember, all this information is on our Facebook event. Please buy one of those books. Oh my gosh, please look up our live stream that we'll post after this slam is finished, and then just watch the feature again. Just like on your drive to the grocery store, watch it again, watch the whole slam, stream it right after it's done. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm not telling you that's what you should do, but like I'm saying, some of the lines to grocery stores are very long, and instead of listening to that podcast, you could just listen to that amazing feature again. Hello, what? There's so many things to unpack there. So many metaphors on metaphors. I mean, come on, like honey, jar, oh my gosh, a jar of tears turning into honey wine. Hello? Can we even think of that kind of stuff? Anyway, I'm saying this because judges have no power here for the feature, but like, ooh, let's give tens. Give all the support to our amazing feature.
Agree.
You can see our feature and all the poets that came up tonight on our Facebook again. You can also subscribe to the Berkeley Slams YouTube page, where we also have other poets from other slams, other virtual slams throughout the Bay Area. It's called Bay Poets Unite. This would usually be the time where I would pass around a tip jar, or well, it would be a jar. And then I'd be like, what's in it? And then everyone would be like, nothing. And I'd be like, wait, no, that's not how the Bic works. Anyway, it would be a jar that has tips on it, and I'd pass it around, but we don't have that. But what we do have is our Patreon. I know it is a very financially horrible time for everyone, but if you have it in your heart, and especially if you have it in your pockets, to support us on Patreon. Our Patreon is patreon.com/Berkeley Slam, where you can support the slam. You can support all the poets coming into it, all the money that the poets who win this slam at the end of the night is usually from the patrons coming in when we had a real life in-person tangible venue. But right now we're all taking from the profits from our Patreon, and then it's sending it all back to all the poets. And we're working on workshops and everything. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. before the slam, we have a digital workshop. Tonight's was hosted by our feature. So we try to get our features to host the workshops. We post the Zoom link for that, so you can join. It's amazing, it's fierce. You can write new poetry, or you could do what I did tonight, which is basically just sneak in and listen to conversation and good poetry, right? Little extra slam without doing any of the extra work. Okay, so we got that all the way. We finished our first round. Everyone take a break. Please go to your balconies or open your window and take that cool, chill air in if it's cold outside. Take a break. We're gonna take a 10-minute break, so we will be back at 9:40 for our second round. And in the second round, our poets will be going in this order. We have Nicole Tracy, Dog Days Are Over, Gray Violet, Chardonnay, and Billy the Kid. Okay, perfect, amazing. Our top 5 will figure out who's gonna be first, second, and third, and who is still an amazing poet regardless. Okay, so in the next 10 minutes, do whatever you want, go to the bathroom, whatever. I'm gonna mute myself so you get to see, I don't know, a pause. I don't know, look at my amazing curtains and my hand-painted chair. Yeah, it's from IKEA, back when IKEA used to be a thing. Okay, see you in 10 minutes.
Okay, everybody, can I get a head count of my round 2 poets? I'm gonna say your name and then just say that you're here, please. First up, we have Nicole Tracy.
It's here.
Perfect. Then we have Dog Days Are Over.
Here.
Okay, great. Then we have Gray Violet. We have Gray Violet here. Looks like, oh, I see them in the background. Okay. Then after that, we have Chardonnay.
Here.
Okay, and then finally we have Billy the Kid.
Hello.
Okay, perfect. Okay, are we ready to start the second round? Amazing, great.
Can we check to make sure we have all of our judges?
Oh, yes, judges. If you are here, please message
Or
Reggie.
make noise right now.
Or yeah, make noise. We need 5 noises from our judges. Judges. Okay, we got one judge. Can we get a second judge?
Tino's here.
Okay, we need 3 more.
Go.
Okay, 3, 4. Okay, we need our 5th judge. Okay, was that everyone?
I think Fiona had to leave, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. Are we just doing cuatro?
Can we? Should we try to get somebody in right quick?
Sure. We can see if we can find a judge. Give me a second.
Is Chardonnay in the second round?
The second round is Nicole Tracy, Dog Days Are Over, Gray Violet, Chardonnay, and Billy the Kid.
Never mind.
Okay. Hello, everybody. We're just finding another judge currently.
Should we ask Colin?
Well, Chardonnay's in the second round, so wouldn't that be a conflict?
Shit. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Kalila said she can do it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Let me get her to sign in right quick.
Okay.
I think we can start the poem.
So we found our 5th judge. Also, Sacrifice. Are you here? Yes. Let me double check. Okay. Yes, we do have our Sacrifice here because she comes prepared. Okay. So while we get our 5th judge into the Zoom meeting, we're going to stall the best way that Javi knows how, by juggling. Just kidding. I don't know how to juggle. Oh my gosh. Although I did juggle scarves in middle school because we had a PE unit where we learned how to juggle, and I never got past scarves because everything after that is too heavy to handle, which should have been a sign for me in real life. Oof. Javi, can you tell us about the other shows in the Bay? Oh yeah, this is a perfect time. So other shows in the Bay, there are none. I'm kidding. There's a bunch of other shows on the Bay. We know how to use a computer. We know how to live stream stuff. So if you thought tonight was great, wait till you hear all the other slams that there are in the Bay Area. First, we got the Santa Cruz Word Church. Where would that be? Oh, Santa Cruz, you say? Oh no, it's actually on your computer, desktop or laptop, or even your phone. Mondays on Instagram Live at Legendary Collective, legendary as in of legends, and collective as in of collections. You can find them, Santa Cruz Word Church, Mondays, Instagram Live. You can also see the Oakland Slam every third Thursday at Lucas Tap Room. We'll be hosting a show on the 19th, Tuesday. And then they will be hosting a show on the 19th, workshops on the 5th and 19th. And then you can also see Rich Oak Alchemy Slam every first and third Saturdays at the Allen Bluford Center, or on Instagram Live at Rich Oak Alchemy, R-I-C-H as in like lots of money, oak as in like lots of tree, and then alchemy as in like lots of stuff, because you can turn anything into anything else. Ooh, what compound words? Amazing.
Lots of money and lots of tree is a great way to describe Rich Oak.
Oh, ooh. That was a weed joke, ladies and gentlemen. And for children, it was not. Okay, so do we have our judge? Yes, amazing. Okay.
Lilia is here. Yes.
Okay,
Lilia,
amazing.
Please DM Reggie your scores.
Okay, so our second round will be starting in this order. Nicole Tracy, Dog Days Are Over. Gray Violet, Chardonnay, and Billy the Kid. We take the top 5 scoring poets of the first round, flip it and reverse it, and then the sum of both round scores wins money. And if you don't win money, then you still did that. Fierce, amazing, love that for you, king or queen or non-binary royalty. So on deck we have Nicole Tracy, but coming up to the stage, give it up for our sacrifice. That's right, we have another sacrifice for the second round. Give it up for Damani.
Damani, you have the floor.
I'm good to everyone?
Yeah, we can hear you.
The legal study scholar dissects how the law fucks us. If I say home is a graveyard cult, a prison bar burrito shop, a university, a sticky dance of self-imposed Alzheimer's, all on the same street, I mean, I heard everyone in Oakland has a Bible present, even if it's just a pastor's phone number. Always afraid of the next tragedy we have to pray to. Each tooth we lose is a sin in pronunciation. My God, when you are asking for something, say it with all your teeth. Mumble salvation and you will be left to drown in floodwater. My God, the way our throats break either by law or by law, every Black family I know knows of the loss a hyphen can bring. All my family has the gap size of a cliff in between their 2 front teeth. So we keep our mouths shut. I must be a Bible story. If every man I take in the mouth turns to salt, I want to take God back in the mouth like some lover lost at sea. I want to swirl holy around the tongue and wield church promises like a sword. I'm not religious. I just see a connection between and the people that police it. There was a place in downtown on 16th called Colonial Donuts, and even that's been priced out the area. The colonizer's granddaughter came back for the colonizer. My God, to be here now, I must be documented, ink and blood curdling enough to live in a city that has not decided to exile me yet, or maybe they tried and failed and have yet to try again, my God, to live with a blood family in East Oakland, to live through 3 gang territories next to a prophet the clan called home. I must be something gluttonous if I want to take this Oakland in the mouth, teeth, chalk, blood, a peppermint, God's Sunday souvenir. Before I go, I must tell you, law is sexual, my God. Envy the word, manifest destiny left behind. Gentrify, the way someone saw a body and called it theirs. How someone died for us and when martyred we stole their names, called them ours. My God, the red line, the lipstick around the mouth before a man comes, stop and frisk. It is impossible to consent when it feels like everywhere you walk is a hotel room some stranger paid for. We didn't ask for this, just suspicion that we'd want to be touched and talked to, the curfew ordinance, the way they demand and never ask the eviction notice. How we know the fucking is done.
Give it up for our sacrifice, Damani. Whew. Okay, let's go. Judges, make sure to PM your scores to our scorekeeper. And give it up for our sacrifice, Damani. Come on with the wordplay. Come on with the way someone saw a body and called it theirs. What? That's what we call a what? Metaphor. The flavor. Okay, so now we're gonna start the second round. I'm gonna say the order again. We got Nicole Tracy, Dog Days Are Over, Gray Violet, Chardonnay, and Billy the Kid. On deck, we have Dog Days Are Over, but give it up for our first poet of the second round, Nicole Tracy.
Have the floor.
Cool. So I want to start this poem by saying that April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So I wanted to do this new shit in honor of that, and also content warning for sexual assault. Redefining innocence or guilt, or alternate ways to reliving your own trauma. Only a girl who thought she knew what she was doing, or legally the age of consent but still said no, or not legally an adult making two grown decisions, or he said or she said, or alcohol is the enabler to blame, or the walls are the only witnesses here, or the one I trusted before the knock on the door, or no proof of guilt, or no proof of innocence, or bodies that belong to no faces, or faces that belong to no bodies, or the police report with his information redacted, or the same report making carbon copies of my account, or do I have to answer these questions now, or I did everything right, or I did everything wrong, or I ruined his future, or I was with him 6 months too long, or I write about it as if time has never stopped, or I write about him as if time goes in reverse, or it wasn't just one time, or I don't remember if I've lost count or never counted in the first place.
Ooh, give it up for Nicole Tracy. Judges, please send your scores in. Ooh, wow, amazing. Thank you for the warning ahead of time. As a reminder, if you need a moment, anyone to take and decompress themselves, please take that. Love the line, bodies that belong to no faces, or faces that belong to no bodies. Come on, wordplay. Everyone knows how to write here? What? You seem like someone who went to the writing workshop at 7 p.m. virtually tonight. Oh my gosh, crazy. Okay, so Damani, our first sacrificial poet, got a 28.1. Give it up for Damani, the poet, not the points. Okay, so on deck we have Gray Violet, but coming up to the stage, give it up for Dog Days Are Over.
You have the floor.
This is Climax After Ocean Vuong. Voice 1. Masculinity is too often wildfired explosion and trapped in the body, waiting for oxygen to catalyst to the hydrogen bomb it was taught to broken into. 1. This breaking beast daggers my every absent vein. Within a murder scene of crows whispers, you can't name me better than I can. Voice 0. I, breaking beast of toxic masculine masquerades, demand, say confidence, adorn your broken, ridiculed if you don't, say insecurity, lockbox your eyes from its poison, roadkill if you don't, masculine, masquerade, masturbate, only your kind can speak self-pleasuring so you seem less shattered sand than gilded glass, mastodon, massacre, there's a crumbling cathedral inside your hands, don't point out its gray stained glass, how the glisten often blind wordless eyes and bleeds, everything does in the end. 1. I attempt to say his name just to curse it, toxic masquerade, lethal massacre, sacred, lethal, toxic mass, voice 2, killinity. To delineate myself from masks or mastodon masquerades, I must remember, listen to the honeysuckle my mother milked for my infancy, how her pink carnality of bouquet carnations, blood fountain upon mounted fountain, till I was sectioned out her womb, a wet wonder, a lifted lotus. 2, why does our culture actively colonize landscapes of body birthing most? I wash the blood of every ancestral brokening, axe away at the walls embedded in my ears by voice 0, grain by grain. 2, I sing confidence and insecurity in the same melody, this broken bone, fierce crow walk. I roadkill a lockbox and hear a mask splitting itself open, bloodless wound, fuck voice zero, and his hollow cathedral cabinets with soured wine. I am both shattered sand and gilded glass. I will not apologize for it or my queerness. My mother's and sister's lineages have masked on themselves down with too many insincere sorries for men that would rip the silence from their throat and mastodon violence down their gale flute windpipes. Voice one has yet to gradually acknowledge this. Two, I steal back my arteries hidden within a murder scene of prose, killed for being oracle, a whistleblower, to toxic masculine blood rains. My sister and mother held vain daggers under their skin all this time. They've had to battle masquerades long before I, too. I bewail blood from my wounds, find a man I can finally potentially love, both another and myself, for even just an unbrokening unmasquerade. Can anyone show me what I cannot fathom? 3. Thank you.
Ooh, give it up for Dog Days Are Over. Oof, love that. Come on, judges, give those scores to the scorekeeper. Ooh, there is a crumbling cathedral inside your hands. I attempt to say his name just to curse it. Ugh. Wow. My tongue was tied and I wasn't even the one doing the poem. Oh, imagine being able to eloquently say words. I can't. Whew. Okay, we are almost halfway done with the second round, and oh boy, is it close. Let me tell you, these scores are so this close. That's so small. That's like, okay. So on deck we have Chardonnay, but coming to the stage, give it up for Gray Violet.
You have the floor.
Mic check, can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I only write when I'm depressed. I don't know how that came to be. See, I used to be happy. Now, my creative domain is a place to examine my pain. Why? Why do I only write when I'm depressed? Maybe it was the words. When words sputtered coming out, my parents gave me benefit of the doubt. They said my mouth would work out when my brain was telling me to say that the day when the breach between thoughts and speech would end. Until then, I was just as good as anyone else. Even though anyone else could say a sentence without it sounding like a sentence. But did I mention the looks? Grown from a mixture of well-intentions and lack of patience, most of the time I braved it. Over some time, it gave me pause. The pauses became long. So I slipped back into where I felt I belonged, and that was writing. Writing. I wrote what I was feeling inside, the boiling, roiling sensation of being other, the hurt I wasn't supposed to feel, the offense I wasn't supposed to take, the girl that was never supposed to break broke into song. So you could say that writing was my medicine. But what happens when you get high off your own supply? What happens when you can't tell where the sickness ends and the medicine begins? What started as a source of peace now becomes a requirement to proceed. What happens when I'm not pressed? Do the words tend to come out less? So maybe I should stay in this place of stress because, wow, it makes good art. But this good art is a sacrifice of human beings. These sad boys and sad girls are staying sad because to be happy, they must stay empty inside, to give themselves creative space, a hamster running a permanent race, trying to stay moody but not fall off the ledge. Until one does. Then we cry their name. As we talk about how their art reflected their pain, what we fail to take away is how they got there. How we praise their depression for the sake of good art, how we never stopped them from getting this far, how we all saw oil leaking from the car, but we drove past because that's how shallow we are. And when their lyrics got lighter, we called the mainstream. And when their light shined brighter, we all left the scene. This aesthetic is pathetic. Even I succumb to it. So maybe that's why I only write when I'm depressed, because I'm a product of this art is pain mess. But the cycle must be broken. Happiness is a valid emotion. My life won't be a sacrifice to the thing that gave me breath to begin with. There will be light. And in that, I shall write. Thank you.
Ooh, give it up for Great Violet. Judges, please give up your scores, please. Give it to the scorekeeper. Come on. That poet knows how to string a metaphor. Ooh, my life won't be a sacrifice to the thing that gave it to me in the first place, or the girl that was never supposed to broke into song. Come on, lead-ins. Amazing. Okay, so I have scores for our first two poets. Nicole Tracy got a 27.0, and then Dog Days Are Over got a 28.2, and that is after a 0.2 time penalty. So it was a 28.4. So let's all say 3, 2, 1, fuck time penalties. But just consider a little garnish on top. Amazing, great. Okay, on deck we have the last poet of the night, Billy the Kid. But coming up to the stage, give it up for Chardonnay.
You have the floor.
Why did nobody ask the female daddy long leg if being called daddy translates to an erasure of her womanhood? The same reason you don't realize the caucasity of asking me what my preferences are. You're a queer, non-binary person lacking color as much as you lack respect for boundaries. Unless we're talking about the borders built by your ancestors with the same hands they used to cut the tongues out of the mouths of mine for generations. Their blood in my mouth spills over, a drop for every refusal to abide by this demon tongue. It does not contain a word divine enough to define me. Generational curses so prevalent, I cannot recall the words those before me preferred to speak. And now that they're damn near out of reach, you caucasiously ask me what my preferences are. I am the river Oshun, the manly woman, the water you must drink that will also drown you if you even think about disrespecting me. Now look at you, apologizing. You can keep your sorries unless they're in the form of money, because knowing better has never been cause for y'all to do better. So why did no one ask the female daddy long leg if being called daddy translates to an erasure of her womanhood? No one's bothered to learn her language. The word for father is also the word for mother. There is no translation. Twin flames dancing in fluidity. The Holy One. It is not uncertainty that fuels my desire to strip the pronouns from my tongue. It's the certainty that they, like you, have got me fucked up. In Yoruba culture, there are rituals to change the gender of unborn child, transitioning away from a life of misery or abigu. Translation born to die. Translation dies before parents. Demon tongue failing me again. So I asked the female daddy long leg if being called daddy has any effect on her so-called womanhood. And she laughed, said men always think what they call us changing us, said we've always been more than woman or men, transcending beyond the umbrella of trans. It's more demon tongue. My blood spilling in my mouth when I say my pronouns are she or they.
Give it up for Chardonnay. Judges, please give your scores to our scorekeeper. Oof, come on. We've always been more than man or woman. Felt that line. Amazing. Great. Also, great reminder to always ask people what their pronouns are. While we wait for the score, let me give you a little rundown. Do you ever feel awkward when asking someone's pronouns? Do you ever feel like you're gonna offend them? Do you know what's more offensive than asking what someone's pronouns are? Getting them wrong. And how can you fix that? asking them, okay? There's an issue with people thinking that asking someone what their pronouns is offensive, and that's offensive. Knowing who someone is not offensive, it's not intrusive, it's just doing your homework. So come on, guys, I know we're past college and finished with elementary school, but sometimes we can do a little homework out in our everyday lives. Amazing, great. Woo. Okay, so our last poet, Gray Violet, got a 27.9. On deck, we have the end of the show. We have figuring out who had the most points and who gets money, and we have figuring out who didn't get money but is also amazing and fierce and the judges suck, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, whatever. Let's find a scapegoat. I don't know. But before that, we have our last poet of the night. Give it up for Billy the Kid.
You have the floor.
Things my mother told me. An incomplete list that is very important. When she was 19, she lived by herself in Inuvik. She worked at a bar, and in the winter, she and her friends would drive south to see the sun. So when I'm 19, I use that anecdote to justify living by myself that summer, and she replies, lol, yeah, but you're my baby. On the subject of bread and indigeneity, she says, my girl, our people never depleted our resources to the point where we had to eat the grass. Now, it took me a while to process that by grass she meant wheat, but the subtext of this conversation was, Billy, bread makes you, and especially you, fat. Trust me, it's in your genetics. On the subject of eggs, when I was 7, she told me, to shell an egg, tap it lightly with the side of your spoon. Slip the spoon into the cracks and gently lift the shell away. She says she learned this trick at school. It was kind of like a boarding school. They taught her other types of table manners and etiquette, such as where to put your napkin, which hand to hold your fork in, and then what language to speak. She says one of the 11-year-old boys there had a mustache and they called him Macho Man. My mother told me about the Indian residential school system ever since I could remember, but it wasn't until I was 11 that she told me that she went to one. This was the same year we moved to Ottawa. On the subject of Ottawa, she tells me that she hates the city. The summer air is too thick, she doesn't like the way city Indians do things, and she can't learn how to speak French no matter how hard she tries. That's what the nuns at her school spoke. One night, after tearing down the bilingual cue cards in her kitchen, she says, we're staying here so that you don't have to move as much as I did. After 6 years, I tell her this is the longest I've lived in one place. She says, me too. On the subject of Christianity, she says, my girl, we never needed 10 commandments. Our people have one golden rule that covers all of them and more. Be kind and help people. But don't be stupid. On other advice, always back up your files. If you lose your files because you didn't have a backup, then you probably deserved it. Never do a half-assed job. If you're not fully doing something, then why are you bothering in the first place? She told me that after I'd done a shitty job at sweeping the staircase. My mother tells me that I don't know how to stand my ground. She tells me that I'm too soft and that I need to learn how to cook in single-sized portions. Whenever we speak these days, which isn't often, she always speaks to me as if she's trying to teach me a lesson. These are the days when all I want is to hear my mother tell me, Billy, I'm proud of you. Most days, she says, my girl, I miss you. Thank you. Masicho.
Give it up for Billy the Kid. Judges, please send your scores over to our scorekeeper. Wow, that was an amazing second round with every poem doing amazing and fierce, and that was way to finish it on a high note, everyone. Okay, everyone breathe. We are gonna take a moment for the scorekeeper to get the final scores and figure out who's getting first, second, and third. In the meantime, I'm gonna remind everyone of our Patreon, patreon.com/Berkeley Slam. There are different tiers, as with all Patreons, I just found out. You can donate whatever you can or nothing. I think that y'all just being here to hold this space on a chilly or not that chilly, depending on where you are, Wednesday night, and listening to poetry, listening to people of color, listening to women, listening to non-binary people, listening to everyone who has something to say and aren't always giving the space to say it. Thank you for holding that space for everyone. I would like to thank all the poets. I would like to thank all the judges. I would like to thank all the people in the Berkeley Slam behind the scenes who are pulling the ropes or whatever the tech version of that is, typing binary, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just trying to fill time until I get the scores. Also, reminder, our amazing feature, Alejandro Jimenez, has a website. It's alejandropoetry.com, where you can get their book, where you can get it shipped COVID-free as per his feature, which is fierce. I want to clarify, someone did point out before we went to break, I said that you should watch the live stream like while you're driving and while you're shopping. No, don't watch it. It's poetry. The best thing about it is you can listen to it. So please do not watch the live stream while you are driving. Please do not do that. Just listen to it and the emotion will be there. You can imagine the hand movements and the storytelling in this little box over here. Ooh, okay. Okay, so we have our scores, our first, second, and third place for the night. Okay, can we get a drum roll, please? I wonder if you can hear that. Why am I tapping and also making sounds from my mouth? Anyway, drum roll. In third place, give it up for, also just something fun we can do. If you win, if you are first, second, or third, feel free to unmute yourself and just say something cute, something nice, say thanks. I don't know, my go-to is just to go off the stage and pretend like I'm saying something and just say thanks and then leave. It's really fun. But yeah, so in third place, give it up for Dog Days Are Over. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, thank you all so much. Thank you all for having me. It was a really great experience. Yeah, glad to be here with the Berkeley Slam. Hopefully I can do more stuff like in person. Would love to do that. And yeah, thank you all so much.
Yes. Okay. Oof, amazing. And not just because I was mentioned at one point. Who cares about that? Okay, in second place, slightly louder round of applause or drum roll. Give it up for Gray Violet.
Thank you so much. This was my second slam and my first like all ages slam. So I'm really pumped. Thank you for holding space for me. This was beautiful. Y'all were amazing. Thank you.
Woo! Yes. Ow, 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 ow. Woo. Okay, come on, second slam flex. We heard that. We all heard it. Don't pretend like we didn't hear that. Ooh, second slam, amazing. Me and my second slam could not even imagine it. Have I erased it from my memory? Probably. Okay, so in first place for the night, winning the whole slam, please give it up for our first place. Chardonnay.
Wow. Thank you to everyone in the audience, the judges, my partner for giving me all of the support and shit. And yeah.
All the little people they had to step on.
All of the white people for invading my boundaries and inspiring really dang poetry. Someone private messaged me about my poetry being on Instagram, and I do have a poetry Instagram account that I should have been using by like yesterday, and I will actually start using by like tomorrow. And that's Healing Cool Waters. I'll type it into the chat and things. But yeah, thanks. Wash your hands also.
Okay, amazing. We made it to the end of the slam. Give it up for Chardonnay. Give it up for Grey Violet. Give it up for Dog Days Are Over. Give it up to every poet who graced the stage tonight. It was amazing. The poetry was out of this world, or at least out of this Zoom meeting. It was great. We'll be back next week at 7 p.m. for the workshop. We'll also have another slam. You can always sign up. We post the Google Hangout, Google list sign up. I don't know, some magic fairy does it. And no, that is not a slur against queer people. Some actual magic fairy does it.
I mean, that was kind of correct. I am gay, so I mean, yeah, I am the one who's doing that.
I didn't want to assume. Okay, everyone, have a good night. Please drink water, brush your teeth, call your mom, tell her that you love her.
Hey, Javi,
and you don't
who's
owe her
featuring
that.
next week?
Next week, our feature is, actually, let me pull it up. Okay, next week on the April 29th, our next feature is going to be Darnell DeSol Carson. What? Oh, and maybe you're at home being like, oh my gosh, that sounds so interesting. Who might that be? Well, you can always go home and listen in next week. Okay, everyone have a good night. I love you all. Unless you're racist, then I hope that you don't die of the virus. Bye, have a good night. See you later.